Welcome to the Dingus Den for a brand new comic review where we're here to talk about Destro as we continue our journey into the Energon universe. So, you know what? Let's get right on into talking about some Destro.
Welcome to the Dingus Den.
All right, welcome to the Dingus Den, everybody. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you found your way here. Also, great to have you back, Warren, as we're here for what has pretty much become a weekly review series over the
Yeah,
Energon universe. And we're
always a
continuing
pleasure, especially diving into the Energon universe, which has been surprisingly one of the better things I've read in the last couple years, honestly, consistently across all the stuff that we've been reviewing so far. So, yeah, it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed. I mean, it's cool revisiting Transformers,
Yeah.
being able to binge those, and so make sure you go check out our coverage of what we've done of Transformers so far. We're almost caught up with what's out with the volumes, and so, but uh, I've really been enjoying doing the GI Joe stuff, in particular since they're brand new to me. Except for Cobra Commander, but when we did Duke and Scarlet and now Destro, those were all brand new to me. And so I've been looking forward to those, especially this one, since like it's more closer connected to like what was going on with Cobra Commander in a way. So this is
Yeah.
always one that I was a bit more looking forward to checking out. Also a writer that I've seen his name around. I don't remember if I've read anything of his stuff. Maybe I have, but like written by Dan Waters, which I know I've seen that name around. So, but yeah, Destro. What'd you think of this overall though? Before we get deep into it,
This was good. I don't, it felt like a combination of Scarlet and Cobra Commander. You get a little bit of past, but it's mostly telling us what's going on in the present
Yeah.
and helping set up everything else for and how the pieces are fitting together. But it was more interesting than Scarlet, but
Yeah.
it didn't go nearly as deep into the person as it did with Cobra Commander.
Yeah.
So it was one of those ones where it was kind of it was I put it up there higher than Scarlet, but I still think Cobra Commander's book was better.
Yeah.
We do get to see a little bit dive into Destro. It was kind of cool because I've watched the cartoon and the movies, and I every time I was reading it, I felt like I just saying everything he said with a thick Scottish accent, like the actor did in the movies. Just like
That's cool. I would agree with your overall sentiment. Is I like that it delved deeper into like just certain aspects of the story and the world, I suppose, than what Scarlet did. Like Scarlet was just a straight up action book, versus here it's more of a war, but we do get a little bit deep, but not as deep as Cobra Commander. And that is, I think, ultimately, at least from all the GI Joe specific books, that's why it's my favorite.
yeah.
So but I do think with comparing it to those two, though, it is kind of like a mix of those, and in a good way, though. And so I did enjoy it overall. I do think there's like a couple moments here and there, which we'll get into, where I felt like maybe certain things could have maybe been a little elaborated on, maybe a little bit more better. But like it was still, I think, a pretty good read, though.
Yeah.
And like I said, better than Scarlet, and Scarlet was still a solid read. So
Yeah, Scarlet felt like an in-between movie of a trilogy. It's like it didn't dive and do anything too crazy, but it was still a lot of fun to watch or to read. So this one was dived a little bit more into it and was much more of a okay, so now we're seeing another piece of this big puzzle that's building of G.I. Joe versus Cobra.
Yeah, for sure. And it's cool seeing all that stuff, and it definitely, I would say, it leaves me more excited for when we actually get to actually dive into the main GI Joe stuff, which will be after this. So, let's get into this then, since there's a lot of exciting stuff, and I realize I'm not sharing this for you, so I'm fixing that here really quick. Boom. So, Destro, let's delve into this. So first off, we get our introduction into the Republic of Dark Luna, which I gotta say, I love the name of this place.
It's better than Shangri-La. What was it? The Cobra one? Shangri-La Snake or some bullshit. It's Dark Luna is definitely a better name than the Cobra Commander's hometown.
Yeah, I liked it. It's a cool name. And a name too that like I think has like a good little bit of like subtle cheesiness, I guess, to it that I like with it. Like, you know, housing the bad guys is called Darklonia.
Yeah, so, this is evil country. Like
yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I like that. So yeah, so we get into it, and seeing this big like attempted revolution, but then we get this like battle sequence with these robots that Destro's been working on, and like they're just brutal.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. Actually, I love how it actually just begins with one, and then they look up, and then there's just a lot of them, and it's like I got Iron Man vibes from these of like I guess closer like they're like the Ultron sort of bots and like Age of Ultron or something like that. But yeah. So seeing these, which are just absolutely deadly, and then learning of their malfunction, well, they'll murder anybody, not just the enemies.
Yeah, they cannot distinguish between friend and foe, which makes them as a weapon useless because you can't put them alongside troops. And these things are so dumb, they'll start shooting each other. So it's like, so it's just, that's a major flaw in the design.
Yeah. Indeed. And they mentioned that as well at one point too, of like, well, they're useless to us until that's figured out.
Yeah.
But anyway, the leader of this country, we see Destro pay him a visit. And I really like the scene here with him as he's like, you know, he's like, well, you could have done better. So he's like, I'm going to replace you and replace him with his cousin. So, yeah, Destro's getting a hold of everything. You know, quite the big takeover there. Cobra Commander comes in, seeing his involvement with Destro as, you know, as it was set up at the end of Cobra Commander with him picking Mars Industries as being like, you know, the tech group that he works with. And so here we can see about how he's like, you need to do better with your projects here. You know, it's cool seeing their relationship here. Actually, their relationship between these two characters specifically, I would say, is one of the highlights, if not my biggest highlight of this book.
It does in the cartoon. It kind of mirrored how the Starscream Megatron, where Cobra Commander was always on top, but Destro was waiting for any moment. Like if you slip, I am going to take your spot. And that was always kind of their dynamic in the cartoon and everything.
Nice. See, I don't know of anything about Destro other than this comic. And so I need to watch it, get into watching it more sometime. But yeah, I like it does kind of give off a similar vibe to that in this though. Ish. Not quite that, but like similar-ish, because like they're still not quite good with each other.
Yeah.
And he's still like, you know, we're in this business together, so they're more trying to be equals. So, but yeah, interesting stuff. I also found this whole temple place interesting too, where Destro like communes with, you know, some place of his heritage, and that's where he always seeks guidance at.
Yeah.
Interesting. And here where he reveals about how he knows of the Energon. Well, obviously because of him working with Cobra, you know, stuff set up in Cobra Commander. And so seeing him using that, I like these like focuses on the masks here that we get along the right side of the page here. Because I look at all these masks and I'm like, it's very Doctor Doom like, especially that last one.
Yeah.
So I like seeing all those metal masks. I thought they were cool.
I wish they would have explained how his works. Like, is that
That is
nanotech?
true.
You know,
I
they never get into it.
I did think about that, especially after when they established these masks, because there's one moment in a little bit where we get the flashback and it explains like more of the purpose and how these masks came along and then why it's part of the family heritage. That part was cool. We'll get to it in a moment. But like it made it clear those were solid metal masks versus you could tell Destro's isn't. So I didn't think much about it being other than just being like a artistic choice until that moment happened. And
Yeah,
then it made
I
me
don't
think,
even remember in the show them explaining it. He just always had a metal face, and it was just
yeah,
kind of like, yeah, I do this because my family wears the iron mask. It's like, well, yours is like liquid metal, so like, can you explain that one?
yeah. Like he's like part Terminator or something almost.
Yeah,
So here we get uh seeing his cousin who's you know now taking hold of Dark Luna and seeing this whole uh what was it called again? I this big expo that they're doing with a
yeah,
bunch.
they're doing a big kind of illegal arms sale, and he's kind of organizing it with everybody. It's kind of like, hey, yeah, this didn't happen. You know, buy, you know, check out your tanks and
Yeah,
go, you know, blah blah blah.
right. So, seeing the inner workings of that, we are also introduced to the main antagonists of this, the twins, Zammot and Tomax. Uh, Not familiar with them, but
They are from the cartoon. They wore much more elaborate costumes than that, so we might see that in the future. But yeah,
yeah,
they are part of the GI Joe lore, and
nice.
they were a big part of that whole deal. It is kind of, it's like Cobra Commander assembled all of these guys that were kind of leaders of their own factions, and they're all
Uh-huh.
under the hood of Cobra
Yeah,
when the show's going on. So
interesting.
they
See,
were
I
really annoying in the cartoon because they would finish each other's sentences, and sometimes they would talk together, and it was just really freaking
yeah, I feel like
annoying.
we kind of really only got that like once here at
Yeah.
the end. But I do like though these people though they're part of the another company. They reference Crimson Guard. Our
Yeah.
Crimson Guard is their section of military and stuff. And so anyway, I do like though how they serve as the antagonists of being that it's two big businesses against each other. So Destro versus these twins, which is interesting to see and hear. Yeah, a little bit of demonstration that they're ruthless, and so
Yeah,
setting them up.
the coin in Roman decimation, which was a practice that the Roman armies did
Oh
if like
yeah,
a battalion retreated or was found treasonous, they would have everyone draw stones, and then one out of four would draw like a white stone, and then the other three would beat him to death with clubs. And it was a way to kind of, it's like, you do not turn, you do not retreat, you
yeah,
know, it's to help it, to show loyal, to infuse loyalty and decimate your, or to get your army in
yeah.
order behind you. Yeah.
That's wild, and yeah, they referred to that there, and it just shows how ruthless they are. So, but here, back at the expo, we see these drones come in, which isn't picked up by Destro's security system. They start bombing the place, and yeah, so seeing all this action here happen is attack on the expo and attack on like Destro's special castle home there, and and we see Destro was lucky to survive as that bomb luckily did not go off. But it means war is officially begun as the twins were the only people that were meant to be there that weren't there, and they're not there. So So then that's what brings us into issue 2, where it picks off right off from the aftermath of that, where he's establishing like the casualties and lots of money. Like 18 people died, and I actually really like this issue in particular. This might actually be my favorite. If I had to pick one issue that was my favorite of all 5 of it, it might actually be this one.
Yeah.
Because I like how it paralleled with the twins, where they were essentially all saying the same stuff as Destro was at the end of the day. It was a cool, like, parallel issue of seeing how both of them were feeling the same towards each other. Because the twins say they didn't do this attack, and saying that this was a thing that Destro did to make it look like for them to tarnish their company.
Yeah.
And so, which is interesting because I when I was first reading through this, I found it interesting because I had thought that they were manipulating all their people into that lie, and not that they necessarily believed it.
I was too. I was surprised when the twist happens later, but yeah, it was. I felt the same way. I was like, oh, they must be lying to get their way, because they already showed they had no problem decimating 20% of their own troops to prove a point.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, these dudes are just creepy twin liars.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me, I think it was near the end of the second issue when I first had the thought of, oh, maybe they're not actually against each other.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I kind of thought it was Cobra Commander at one point, but it turned out I was even wrong on that. So.
Yeah, we'll get to how he's involved. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, I really like this like double issue or perspective issue of where we're seeing both the sides there, and them destroying each other's forces, and when and I love this bit too, this specific bit where it's one person's monologue and seeing their actions, and then the other person's monologue and seeing their action. It's cool parallels that they have with each other throughout this whole issue.
Yeah, it flows really well and it reads really, really nicely.
It really did.
Yeah,
it really did. I do think this was the strongest built issue of all of them. So, yeah, it was really cool seeing how it all went from one to another. Seeing the attack on Destro's compound and then activating those bots were really cool as well. Kind of terrifying too, of seeing like, I was just saying Ultron bots is like a generic term earlier, but these literally are like those Ultron bots in the movie. Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that until like just now. So yeah. And this is an awesome page too. Probably also my favorite like page of all the issues as well. Just seeing that bot just come out and massacre. So, but yeah, cool stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and seeing the big warfare on the other side as well. That it's cool seeing all the actually seeing the war and actually seeing that like, oh, they both suffered casualties on either side. And just the devastation of what wars. It's a good issue. It's like a good one issue summarization of war. Like everybody knows what war is, but like it really showing the effects and devastations that they have on each other. And I love seeing like you can see on either side their losses here.
And they both are kind of clueless to what the other one, like Destro's kind of like, well, I think our point has been made. And then the twins, it's like Destro should understand what he's dealing with now. Like it's like neither one is really correct at their assumption of how the enemy's doing. Yeah,
that's great as well. Like the pure parallels of each other, the whole issue is great. And so, and then they start, they come to an agreement to start talking with each other. And, this is like your first real indication of when you're like, wait, hold on. They both strongly believe that the other did the other thing. So it's like, hold on. Somebody else is behind this. This is when I first really, I think this is the first big hint too of like, oh, somebody else is really behind this. And so, and they realize that they both can't come to they realize that they kind of have to make a truce, and they both make the intention of backstabbing each other the moment they can. Because they're like, well, we don't want to do any of this necessarily. And Destro goes back home, or not home, but back to the temple, and he's like, nobody can track me here, so I seek guidance against what to do of this essentially stalemate of the situation. And we then learn there's an assassin person, Chameleon to Overkill, which I'm not familiar with this Chameleon person either. I assume that's another big character, though.
Yeah, I would imagine it's probably a Cobra character. I didn't remember Chameleon, because I'm not completely brushed up with my G.I. Joe lore, but I'm pretty sure Chameleon does sound like a G.I. Joe character. So
yeah, I could see that. So as we get into issue 3, we see Destro stepping out, and Chameleon is ready to kill him. Although I found it interesting how in this spot, like, Chameleon was obviously meant to, unless I read it wrong, was it not like the intent of assassination here that Chameleon was trying to do?
Yeah, and she ends up shooting him like in the gut, which was kind of like, well, what are you know,
well, it's like, okay, maybe with his metal mask could protect him, so maybe he had to do that first.
Yeah.
Which I could get. My thing is, okay, the issue begins with this page where he's at the door, and we saw last issue that she was literally aiming at the door. And that second panel there on this page, that seems like he walked up rather close to her before she fired.
Yeah, he's like damn near like 20 feet away from her. Why didn't she just brain pan him? Instead, she shoots him like in the stomach. And yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what's up with Chameleon not doing a good job.
Good assassin.
I know, right? And so, but yeah, so we see that as you were saying here, shooting Destro in the stomach and allowing him to get prone and sneak up on her, which that was a cool little action sequence of him being able to do that, though, showing how, actually seeing that Destro's capable in a fight, because I guess this is really the first time we really get to see that. Because before then, it was just him being the lead guy. Here we could see him actually get his hands dirty.
Yeah, he's much more tougher than Cobra Commander. Well, I mean, Cobra Commander's tough. He can take a beating, but Destro can hold himself in a fight. Like, Cobra is not nearly as good hand to hand, but like Cobra did get tortured and essentially just turned all the rednecks against themselves in that one. So he is tough, but he's not as. I'd rather have Destro in a bar fight on my side than Cobra Commander.
Interesting take. Yeah. I haven't thought of it that much. I guess I could see that, though. Anyway, here we see, though, there's a bunch of drones coming, which, one's from earlier. And cuts to stuff happening over at Mars Industries and seeing that, I'm trying to remember what was happening here specifically, but
what he's explaining on this one is the drones that attacked them in Darklona.
Yes,
were like almost like quantum computer level drones, and it's kind of a hint to the twist that we find out, I believe, in the next issue, which we won't spoil
right
just yet. But yeah, it's all precursoring that. Also, too, his inability to use the rocket wrist goes all the way back to the Darkona attack too, and it all kind of wraps up in a little bow at the end here.
I didn't think about that point until you said that about the wrist, which makes sense.
Yeah, it's how Destro knows. Well, we'll get into it more when the twist is shown, and then I had to go back and read it a couple times because when the twist happened, I was like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. And I went back. I was like, oh, okay, now I get what's going on.
Sure. So yeah, here we see the drones are going through and attacking Destro, and he's able to essentially hitch a ride on one and escape, hijacking it, which is cool to see. Well, I mean, make it look like he died and then escaped, which I really like how that went. Oh, here's the background with him, as I was referring to earlier, with the mask, which I thought was cool, where it dates back to when his family began in the, 1600s? And so seeing how there's this like whole like family war, and that is, you know, Laird Destro, you know, one who was selling munitions to all the sides, trying to play all the sides.
Yeah.
And so thus he's gonna be thus here we see him taking punishment for it instead of death. He's now marked forever as, you know, they realize, well, you have been very helpful to us, so we'll keep you alive, but you're gonna get punished. How do you get punished? Um you're getting put on this iron mask, which is just, oh my god.
Yeah.
That's
And
brutal.
It's made with the musket balls that he created that killed the people in the war.
That detail.
And this reminds me of Dr. Doom, because you mentioned Doom earlier.
Yeah.
Doom, one of the reasons why he was scarred is because he put the mask on too quickly and it burned him, even scarred him even more. And this is kind of plays into, like, also there was Man in the Iron Mask, and it was kind of a whole deal too. So
sure.
But yeah, this is brutal though. Like, it's still like red, molten hot.
Yeah, the way it's done, it's just like, ouch. Ding, Destro, you got a messed up family. Anyway, turns out Destro's arrested as he let himself get arrested over at a nearest U.S. military base. So you can meet with the one and only General Flag, which that was a cool touch there. You know, another way to connect to more of the overall universe, as General Flag is definitely a big player in the overall Energon universe. So that was cool to see. And seeing him essentially manipulate General Flag here as well.
Which also does that same kind of parallel of the arms dealer playing both sides kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Before we exactly see how he did that with General Flag, though, we do see how the twins force over the rule of Darklonia.
Well, he forces him to sell Mars, which is, since Destro's dead, his company goes to the nearest McCullen, and then
yeah. And so seeing it's one massive check, and they're like, yeah, we know it's taking you a moment to, you know, rating all those zeros. But yeah, so here we get to see they realize the problem with the robots here once they get access to them and realize, oh, they can't tell each other. And as you were talking about earlier, they'll destroy each other because they don't know friend from foe. So it's like they're utterly unmarketable. Yeah, that is the problem. I like this bit too of how we're now reading through Destro's notes and he like detailing what he was up to before he reveals himself again, as everybody thinks that he died.
Yeah.
So I like that bit here, and explaining how he, convinced Flag to let him go. Like you said, it was much kind of like, playing the sides there of the scene, flashback scene.
Yeah, and we can't even get a little callback to the Duke, where Conrad Duke Howard and his encounter with a seemingly intelligent fighter jet.
Getting those files and learning the secret stuff there, which is cool. Even more exciting for when we get proper Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover. I love the way that they're setting them up too. So, that's cool. Especially too, I just realized this too of how like, Duke. Well, I mean, I guess he did a little bit with Cobra Commander, but that was more of a Megatron setup. But like how Duke has his own specific setup for dealing with the Transformers later, and then this kind of has another little setup, like more of a general setup for it, which is cool. So, but yeah, cool to see that stuff. Here, Destro reveals himself at this party. I don't remember who this. Well, we do find out who this person is. But that was interesting to get into. Destro has quite an interesting party suit there.
Yeah, he looks like a pimp.
Yeah.
Open chest shirt with the jewel. Yeah, he's straight up pimping.
Exactly. So anyway, he meets with this, trying to meet with this person who just ends up running off. But Destro accounted for that. And we see how, and here's, I guess, going back to that wrist thing of her being able to stop that and saying, here he is like really putting together the pieces of everything.
Yeah. And this is where the stuff earlier all comes into play. We find out because she was the one that was kind of like, it's beautiful, and then the rocket was a dud. Well, the rocket wasn't a dud. Her EMP system is what diffused it. And then her EMP system has diffused his wrist rockets later. And then this encounter here proves it to him. And now we get to see that she was kind of in this all there. And then she drops the bombshell about overkill.
Yeah. You want to get into what that is?
Yeah. We find out that overkill, which I just looked up, overkill is a Decepticon. He was one of the cassette tapes of Soundwave. So overkill is essentially, to her, is an self-aware AI. Now we know that it's a Decepticon, and it wants world peace. So it's trying to kill everyone, or that was its mission, was world peace. But it's not the smartest robot in the world, so it's kind of doing its own thing.
Yeah.
And she works with it, but at the same time, it's doing its own thinking and own decision making. I didn't even realize it was a Decepticon until like 30 seconds ago when I was like, maybe I'll look up Overkill's name because that'd be interesting if it was. But yeah, so Overkill is a cassette tape that was part of Soundwave. I don't know how it placed directly in this. He's a satellite in this one. I don't know if he's just infiltrated the satellite because of the way the ending is. I'm not 100% sure. But she's essentially being controlled or working with a Decepticon that's doing a satellite system. And it's the one controlling the drones. It was the one that planned the attack on Destro and framed the twins. It's kind of been manipulating everyone on the fringes.
That's cool. I didn't know that thing about until you looked it up there. I'm glad you did, because that makes me like appreciate it.
Yeah, really? I thought Overkill was like a Decepticon or something, and then I looked it up, and no, it's like Overkill is the mini cassette that Soundwave uses. So I mean, it could just be a little cassette that took over the satellite, for all I know, for sure.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious if that was the case, right? The little like yeah, that's funny. You say the cassette, and it makes me think of oh my god, which Transformers movie was it where you had the little one that turned into like a radio or something like that?
Oh yeah.
And like, was it like the second Transformers movie?
I think it was so. In? Yeah.
I just imagine like a cassette turning into that. I don't remember Overkill exactly, but like just when you're talking about that, I was just like, it reminds me of that Transformer who's just hilarious.
They always had to have their little comedy robots in those things.
I know. But yeah, that makes me more excited. I hope that like in the future that kind of maybe gets elaborated on. And there was, I mean, we'll get to it at the end, but there is a way how it could. So
yeah, it definitely plays in, makes more sense at the ending. Makes more sense now that I read when I found out that Overkill is
that does make sense. Yeah, we'll get into that. We're almost there, as we're now here at the end of issue 4 of the 5, which shows, oh crap, Cobra Commander's now with the twins. What's gonna happen?
Looking like a straight up third world dictator. Cobra's got that's communist style going on.
He has that, just that great villainous vibe with him there. I love it. And so issue 5, final one here. I didn't really recognize this or think about this until just now. With these issues are structured very similarly to the Cobra Commander issues, where those first 4 was kind of like your main story, and then 5 was, this isn't quite like the epilogue like Cobra Commander, but it still is like the main action bit that plays out everything.
Then we see the twins are wearing their classic costumes, which are mirrored. So if they stand next to each other, it looks like one full suit, which is kind of Like, one has like the left shoulder pad and the other one has the right shoulder pad. And
that's funny. The twins. So anyway, you see that they're talking with Cobra Commander there, and like, Cobra is like, yeah, I guess I'll work with you since you're now the one, in charge now. But then, oh look, Destro's here waiting for him.
It's Daddy's home.
I was just about to say that. He's like, sorry to disappoint, gentlemen, but Daddy's home. And saying just everything go to crap is, it's still he's having essentially battle against his own company, but he's with his most trusted people, with Chameleon now, and that one guy that we were seeing earlier throughout the issues. I don't remember his name, but yeah, all that's really cool. And saying just everything go bad for him. Here he starts fighting the twins. This is funny though. He punches one of the twins, and then they both feel the pain.
Yeah, that was a thing from the cartoon. I'm glad they kept that also. So like, you slap one twin, and they both go ow. So that's always was funny.
Yeah, I do like that they had that. I was like, oh, that's funny. And so, but yeah, seeing this big attack of a few against many that is working against them, and we just see Cobra just watching it all here because he's just like, I'm just gonna work with whoever's the better of these. He doesn't care.
He's like, you guys fight over me, and I'll partner up with the winner.
Yeah. See, that's what I really like about this too, is it shows more of Cobra as a character too. Of he didn't necessarily pick Destro because he cared for Destro. It's just what purpose he could fulfill. And so seeing that he's like, I only care if I get my purpose fulfilled. I don't care who does it. I like that aspect of the story. So, like I said, that was one of the reasons why it's one of my favorite parts of the story is when you look into that relationship. It's I like the relationship between those characters in general. So, so we get into this even more with the battle and all that. I find it interesting that we actually do see the boss happen down here, and they just like shut them off in there, I guess, or just leave them in there.
Yeah, they just had them down the base because they're worthless until they can figure out how to get them from killing each other. But then Destro activates them, and then, as Chameleon said, "Oof, it's rather a flesh blender down there."
That was funny. There's definitely some funny lines in this issue for sure, which I like that. That line was funny. And so, but yeah, seeing all these, drones do their thing, and Destro's, winning the fight here against the twins. And I like what he says here too of I am Lear Destro, and you're in my house, and in my house I forgive you.
Oh, how nice of him.
I know, right? So yeah, he calls off Overkill, and the invasion winds down as he's, the winner now, as he wins. And saying, and here Cobra's like, you have impressed me today, Destro.
I love how they just do the whole snake thing. You have impressed me, Destro.
Yeah. I like that. And then just looking over at the twins and being like, get the hell out of here. You're beaten. Just get out. And then here, to impress that same lady they saw earlier, he's impressing her by blowing up the station.
With nuclear weapons that he collects as a hobby.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of an interesting one there, I suppose. But we get this epilogue at the Tomb of Destro as he's like, I'm disappointed in you, cousin, for signing off the company there. So you must be punished, bringing back, showing that the old ways can still happen, or at the very least bringing back the old way. And
I don't know if his cousin, like, this could be a very big lore thing, like the way that mask is, where his cousin could be an actual a bad guy that was part of the series that like really thickly, and that's why he wore the mask. And this might have been his origin of gaining. I don't know because I don't know G.I. Joe lore enough, but that mask seemed kind of unique, and I'm wondering if this is part of some kind of G.I. Joe lore deal. But
I mean, I'm certainly just excited to see where everything's going to go in the main G.I. Joe book, since that's our next. Well, after Transformers will be what we get into next. So, but and then we get the other epilogue. The future is arriving. The future is war.
And this makes so much more sense now that I know Overkill is a Decepticon, because he says there at the very end, "Oh, Cybertron, have you sent me more gifts?" And that chunk that came off could have been Overkill surviving the explosion. And
I mean,
it seems almost organic. It's like, okay.
Well, it makes sense of like just what it is now, since like I remember when I was looking at it, I was like, okay, I knew this isn't a satellite of our world, or at the very least wasn't powered by our world, but I just didn't realize how the other bit tied into it. So knowing what the Energon's universe version of Overkill is, it's cool to see.
Now, see if Cobra could get Overkill and use Overkill to control Destro's bots, then that kind of changes the game for Cobra. And they could use the bots there because they're using Overkill to control them. So it plays a lot more into it. And it after knowing that he is actually like, that was one of those things where it's like, it makes the story better. I almost think that they should have said something, like even show maybe the Decepticon symbol on the satellite, so that way we would have known. Because if you didn't know who Overkill was, and if you weren't deep in the lore, you kind of missed out on a really important part of what was going on.
Yeah, even if it was part of that last panel and you just see the Decepticon on that last, like...
Yeah, like the chunk flying off and you get a close-up of the chunk and you see... something like that would have been like, that would have been kind of cool.
Yeah. No, I agree. Assuming that they completely stick with what Overkill is, I guess, as well. But... Yeah, we'll see, though. I'm excited to see where it's going to... how this all leads up into G.I. Joe, since now, like... with us now reading this, we've now read all the official setups for what is meant to be their main book. So I'm excited for it, for when we get into that now. Since
that's going to be a good one. I'm really looking forward to it. I want to find out how because they're doing such a great job of this web intertwining together, and it's like with the Transformer stuff. You didn't get, you got a little bit of G.I. Joe, but not nearly as much did you get there's a lot of Transformer stuff in the G.I. Joe spin-offs. There's not as much G.I. Joe in the Transformer spin-offs, because those are more kind of centralized to that one town, Optimus and along those lines. But it still works, though. But the Transformers are all over G.I. Joe on this stuff, It's essentially G.I. Joe got formed because of the Decepticons, so that's really interesting.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited for it, and this one I think was a solid, meteor piece to get into to help set up the things. As we said, not as meaty as Cobra Commander, but I still appreciated that like this still had a good bit of meat to it. And I mean, more so now, though, since we initially thought after learning about Overkill for sure. But still, I still like Cobra Commander more. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I'm enjoying all of it. It is interesting because it's like Cobra Commander's people would not have been where they're at if they didn't capture Megatron and discover Energon. The whole point of Scarlet was to get the Energon sword. Now we see with Destro the possibility of Overkill turning into what helps solve their problems of their Energon-powered androids or killbots. There's all sorts of cool stuff that's being weaved together. Like if this was a TV show, we would be very excited every time an episode came out, because they're doing, and this is the same thing with G.I. Joe. we're seeing mature storytelling with what was used to be a cartoon for kids to make to sell toys. And now we're getting thought out, matured storytelling that not only is individually good by itself, but also it's just interwoven in this big world where if they could tap half of this potential in a movie, you're talking about the next big series of movies if they could pull off the kind of thought that's going into this stuff.
If only Paramount was competent enough to do that. Oh, I say that out loud.
Yeah, only if they just gave a restraining order to Michael Bay and said, "Never show up around here ever again."
I have personal beef with Paramount right now with other decisions, but that's neither here or there. So, but anyway, yeah. This is good though. As I've been saying, I'm excited for what's next. This was a solid read and definitely worth a read, just like all the other Energon universe stuff. Pretty cool. And this actually marks, now that I think about it, our 7th one that we've done. So very cool.
Yeah. Now, what do they have looking forward to next week? Are we going to go to volume 4 of Transformers next week?
Okay. Finishing up Danny Warren Johnson's Transformers. Megatron is back, so that'll be next week's video. So exciting stuff.
Grand finale of the first arc of the new Transformers reboot.
Yeah, I'm excited for to get back into that. So good stuff there. But yeah, until the meantime, where can the people find you at? What you got coming up?
Oh, all sorts of stuff. I have no life. I got an email and a tracking number, so the first graphic novel of Sig and Joe, the first printing of it, should be at my house on Monday.
Oh.
And I'm very excited for that. I have tomorrow, I will be on the last panel show, and we're going to be going over our top 10 Disney animated movies.
Nice.
On Tuesdays, I always do my live draw stream. I am getting closer to getting the script ready for my next graphic novel, How the Squirrels Saved Longview. Once I get that going, days that I don't normally stream, if I'm working on the book, I'll probably be streaming it live just as a work stream, and you'll be able to watch the process from very beginning to end. So I'll be working on that here pretty big. That'll be taking up all my other free time that I did have on doing that. So, but there's a lot of stuff coming down the line.
I love all your character art that you've been doing in preparation for that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
it's really cool. I love.
I got to design some more of the insects, the insectoids, and I'm still working on the squirrel characters. I need to build some more armor and go a little more crazier with the birds that they fly on and stuff along those lines. But it's coming together, and I'm having a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Getting the book ready right now. Just the difficult part is finalizing the script and the dialogue and making sure everything works. And but I pretty much have the outline done. I know how the ending's going to go now. And it's just now filling in all the specifics in between then.
That's awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And also, I mean, the fact you're having your graphic novel come in is amazing news. So cannot wait.
I'm very excited. When I get it on Monday, it'll be all over my social medias and YouTubes, and in the description you'll be able to find my link tree, which will essentially take you everywhere that I am. And also YouTube is where I'm spending most of my time. So like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, but make sure you like and subscribe to this YouTube channel for all the cool stuff that you've got going on.
We have lots of stuff going on. But yeah, the link to your link tree is down below. But yeah, just like you, I feel like I have so much like stuff going on in general as well. Just like I'm insane with how much stuff I get myself involved in as well as far as this content creation goes. Literally earlier today, I was actually part of a book club roundtable review, actually reviewing what was the newest Star Wars novel that came out, but that came out in November, which was really good. So, but yeah, always more comic stuff happening here. Have other reviews and indie guests lined up to come on here, so I'm excited for a bunch of stuff to come. still actively looking for more comic creators to come on here. And yeah, exciting stuff happening here. Check out Before the Cape, where I review Smallville, live on Saturday nights, and also Monday nights. Make sure to check out my D&D, which happens on my Twitch live Monday nights, and it's then uploaded. The videos are all uploaded to a channel called the Tabletop Lounge, so make sure you go check all that out. And so, a bunch of awesome stuff there. So, but without further ado, this was a great time as we talked more about the Energon universe. I'm looking forward to next week when we revisit Transformers Volume 4. Well, I will be revisiting. You read it too, right? So.
Oh yeah, I've read that one too.
Yeah,
I'll go through it real quickly before the show, of course, to get caught up. But I'm all caught up on Transformers, even to the Kirkman Mora stuff. So yeah.
But without further ado, thank you everybody for watching this video, and see you next time here on the Dingus Den. Bye.